Hello everyone, welcome to Bruno's MMA show. I am here with Albert Susanto, who's a sport photographer who has worked with one champion. Albert, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Thank you. So, how did it happen? Because when's the last time you took photos for one?
Um, so basically, the gig itself came from one of the local event organizer that was working for one. Uh, so they are looking for photographers to basically first is to document the arrival of the athlete from the when they arrive, they go by bus, right? And then everyone is there, and then
Yeah.
meeting the fans during the entrance. And yeah, so apparently they they like my photos. So so each I think the first time it was on November 2018. Yeah, so that was the first ever one FC event that I ever photographed at that time.
Okay. So basically, you're a photographer and you happen to be near the location where they had some events, and the event organizer reached out to you, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, basically they're getting a shout out call for any photographers that is interested. So it's basically uh, during the event itself, there are many photographers beside me because well, it's a huge event, right? So everyone is just looking around and then took a get a different angle from each of the rings. Uh, yeah, so it was it was actually the first time I ever uh, photograph a sporting event
Okay.
because the usually I'm just going for panoramic landscape photography.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I was like, huh, are you getting the right guy? But I think it's a good job because it really expand your horizon and experience as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because if you normally do horizons, it's kind of like you have this mostly immobile place. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah,
if there's motion, it's maybe animals or people passing by or the
yeah,
clouds, like. But
yeah,
when you're photographing fighting, that's like fast movement all the time.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah, yeah. So my first ever photos of the one FC during the fight itself is really really bad because it's like all the setting is different, all the lighting is different, and they're like moving really fast. So the next event, I really like. I need to get a better equipment than this one.
oh yeah, because like if someone throws a kick, if you don't have the right equipment for this, the leg is gonna be blurred.
Yeah, all
Stuff
blurry,
like that.
but
Where
yeah. But
yeah,
sometimes some people like to have that because it really convey the motion of
kind of
the athlete itself.
yeah, kind of
Yeah,
like a
but
comic, I guess.
yeah, but for me personally, it's cooler when you see the moment of the impact when a limb hits something. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I noticed there's a crispness to your photos, and it's something I pay attention to, like lighting and all that, because I have a friend in Spain who's a director of photography for movies,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and like, because of him, I've got this like instilled. I'm not good with photos, but I do notice when it's well done, if you will. Like I wouldn't
Oh,
be able
thank
to
you.
necessarily say all the things of why it works, but I can look at it and be like, oh, this is a person who understands lighting. And when you get to those events, do you have time to prepare for what kind of lighting the place will have, or do you basically have to bring your equipment and make do on the spot? How do you do that? Because there's
Uh,
big lights on the
yeah.
top and all that.
Yeah, well, basically we just like do it on the go. I myself because you cannot add any more lighting in the in the venue itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just make do with the camera and the lens I get. So I got like the widest aperture that I can get.
Hmm.
So to get more lighting because you have to shoot really fast in this camera. Sorry, in this event. So I myself like shoot it at the 1/1000 or 1/800 to get a second to get get the picture I want. But
and yeah, of course, I didn't imagine you carrying your own light, but I just meant like how to adapt to whatever light is there if it wasn't always
yeah.
the same. But when you say, for example, for people who don't know photography, like me, I don't actually know it. I just
Mhm.
appreciate it. But when you say something like 1/1000, 1/800, and that's good for fast movement, what does that
Mhm.
mean exactly?
Yeah. So it's basically it's a shutter speed. So when the camera is like there's a sensor there's a sensor, and when you press the shutter button, it goes like you know the sound, right? It's a click.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah. That's when they take a picture. The problem is how fast you want how fast you're going to stop, because 1/1000 means they're going to move at a 1/1000 a second. The shutter what do you call it? The shutter screen. So when they go like click, it's like moving 1,000 a second.
Okay.
So that's when they're going to uh, capture the right moment at the time. So that's like 1,000 a second.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that makes also, I forgot to add that because it's a fast moving event, right? You have to do it like in a burst mode. So, because there's a lot, I, I really akin to that experience like being in the trench in the World War One, because everyone is like shooting, and then you hear them like burst shooting. So you go like,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, because
but
I
it
imagine
was,
more often than not, the photographers are kind of looking for that same moment. So when that like
yeah.
when that happens, like for sure, like. But is it a thing where people mostly just take pictures the whole time, or do photographers just wait for interesting moments? How does it happen?
For me personally, I always look, and knowing the sport itself is really helpful, because you know when they're taking a breather now, so okay, you can take off your eyes from the viewfinder,
Yeah,
and then okay, they're going again, let's go, okay.
yeah,
So sometimes it's so knowing the sport itself is really helpful to know when a moment is going to come.
yeah.
And then uh yeah, so basically
But that's very interesting because you're basically telling me that you, as a photographer, now have an eye for when a fighter's looking for some downtime, for the body language of it and how they react. So it's kind of funny because it's kind of like through your profession, you have now a glimpse of, oh, okay, now he's not gonna attack. Like you can tell, like so.
yeah, yeah,
And it's kind of interesting to me how through photography now you have a notion of when someone has a body language that they might do something or not.
yeah.
It's a
Because
useful skill, useful life
yeah,
skill.
because I actually like to watch MMA. Before ONE FC, I like to watch UFC a lot. But then watching it live is really different than watching it on TV. And especially you really like in on TV, you just go like they show you what's in front, and the director like, okay, show this one is more interesting than that angle, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, when there's a
But
takedown, when there's a takedown, those camera angles change real quick.
yeah, but then in watching it live, you really appreciate how they like move, because you can see the whole thing, and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand why they do that. I understand why they do this.
Um, and so, by the way, this is something we skipped completely. Do you
Mhm.
always work in the same city?
Yeah, because uh, for one for ONE FC itself, they always do it in Jakarta in Indonesia, right? So
Hmm.
always in Jakarta. But myself, I used to travel a lot before the COVID-19 hit,
Yeah.
so to get some good landscape view. I was in another city called Makassar, so that was a long time ago.
Okay. Okay. And so when when an event like that happens, you had your so you already were a professional photographer, right? When they invited you.
I'm actually like a part time. Actually, it's my hobby. Photography is my hobby. I have another day job, but then
Okay.
yeah.
Would you say it's difficult to live from photography then, or it's just because it happens like that for you? Other people work full time. Is it a job that people can look at and be like, "Oh yeah, sport photography. Here I come. I'm gonna drive a Ferrari." And
No, Well, sport photography, it depends. Basically, photography is uh, a very, it's, um, how do I put it? Well, if you have a good skill in photography, then, well, you can get a good money out of it. Because I know some people who, well, live from photography. But sport photography itself in Indonesia is like not in the Europe or in the States where a huge, like, probably football club have their own set of a photographer for their own documentation, right? So they get really paid, and then they can also sell their photos to news agency
Yeah.
in Europe and in States. But that in Indonesia is a bit different, because some reporters already work for some news agent. Freelancer photography is kind of hard to live off unless you're really good at it and everyone knows your name.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you want to try it, you can try, but don't expect to to hit it huge at the right go unless you're really talented.
Yeah, I know. Of course, I'm making jokes when I say driving Ferrari and all that, but
Uh,
uh, although I guess, like you said, you were pointing out, like I imagine an American photographer who takes pictures for the NFL might actually. I'm just saying that as a random example. It might actually
mhm,
be making good money indeed.
mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so so basically, there's a lot of you there, and are photographers designated a spot, or are they all running around the cage and the ring out of view from the cameras?
Before the fight, we can run around, but
Yeah.
then during the fight we have a designated area.
Okay, okay, okay.
So um, if you see some of my photos, they actually come from the same spot. That's
Okay.
because I cannot go anywhere during the fight.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
And did you experience? Now, here's the thing. I have looked at your pictures. I swear. But right now, I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember if the pictures were in a ring or a cage. Have you done both?
Yeah, I've done both cage and ring. So yeah.
And so that was something I was wondering, like taking pictures when the fighters are inside the cage. So there's this like visual obstacle.
Hmm.
Is it
Hmm.
as simple as putting the camera in between the gaps, or how does that work?
No, it's basically you you need the camera to focus to the athlete inside the cage, not the cage itself.
Yeah.
That's what I did because my first event is actually they're in a cage, right? So I don't know, and then some of my photos actually focusing on the wire mesh of the cage itself. So the fighters inside the cage is really blurry, but I have a really sharp image of the cage. It's like, okay, now I know what to do.
Okay, wait. Now, okay, maybe I'm imagining this, but now that you're telling me this, I kind of realize I might have seen a lot of MMA pictures where you actually see the fence just very blurred, and your brain kind of filters it out, like the same way we don't see our noses. You know what I mean? Like when we think about
Yeah,
our
yeah,
noses, we see them, but if we're not thinking
yeah.
about it, it's this blur, but we kind of forget it. So, are you telling me that maybe I have been looking at a lot of MMA pictures where we see like this blurred cage, and my brain just filtered it out or something?
I think so because what's important is inside, right? And the cage itself is blurred. And then I know that the brain sometimes like to bypass some information to get the
Yeah.
important information. So yeah, because that's what I like to do. It's like a blurred cage, but what's inside is really sharp and it's really good. It's and also a very good moment itself. So yeah, I think that's what happens.
So most of your pictures, we see the cage. It's just like this very thin, blurry thing, and you have the sharp picture behind, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
So.
that's crazy. I never realized this, and I wish, I wish I had like a computer at hand right now just to check it out and verify that,
Mhm,
because I feel
mhm.
like now that we're talking about this, I feel like I suddenly have this flashback of having seen a lot of blurred fences. I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of MMA fans, we see blurred fences and we don't even register it anymore. you know, we go
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
MMA news websites and just what see the pictures, and we're so used to seeing that we just don't see it.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. That's
Kind of
that. That's
interesting.
true.
Um, but see that a photographer knows these things. Then when you have the
Mhm.
experience to know what to focus on, it doesn't matter if there's something in front. That's interesting because I was kind of imagining photographers having to like zoom in between the the spaces of the fence. Like when they're it's like so
Yeah,
imagine
so,
like
so
zoom through it.
sometimes we do, sometimes
Okay,
we do that, but
okay.
then it's really dangerous because sometimes when they go to the back of the cage and you're like right in front of it, can
Yeah.
you're like, oh whoa, okay, I need to step back.
Oh, okay, so me, I just meant like zooming in some way, but you mean some people actually put the camera there?
It's like really close, like not
Okay.
close because they have a really short lenses for to get a wide angle photography, right?
Yeah.
So they really have like when the action is over there, they're over here, and then it's like they're like taking pictures over there.
Yeah. And
But that was
yeah.
yeah, that was like a few in between. Like some people actually like just take the longest lens they can get a long zoom.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was
So
thinking. I don't know the terms, but I was kind of thinking something very focused that will go in between the gaps of the fence.
yeah.
I was kind of imagining that, and so when these things happen now, like they so from what I understand, these events they have like a list of people they'll call and all like photographers, and then they all go to the event,
Yeah, yeah.
and they pay you for whatever pictures they want to take, or how is it like a fixed fee, or is it the
No,
pictures that
it's
will them pay you for?
they give you a payment for whatever photos they want to use.
Okay,
So it's not a fixed fee. Well, but
okay,
then yeah. So if you get a good photos, then yeah, you can like how about this, how about this, how about this. So, or basically because we live in a digital age, so I just put it on the Google Drive, and then like here you go, choose one.
yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So basically, for a company, there's no financial risk in getting a lot of photographers in because you're still
Mm-hmm.
gonna buy the amount of pictures you want to buy. You're not adding an extra cost. You just buy the pictures you want. So it makes sense to have a lot of people to get the best shots possible from all the angles.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. So basically, from what I understand, it's also even like a bit of a risk for a photographer sometimes because you don't know if you're gonna get that picture that people are gonna want. Like
Yeah,
maybe the other
but
guy to your left had a better angle or something.
yeah, but for me, it's attending the event itself is already a reward, so I don't really mind.
For sure, man. For sure. It's always funny when these things happen. Like when you get paid to watch something. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
many years ago, I was a security guard and I was on call, and they would send me wherever. And I
Mm-hmm.
got to watch this. It was in Montreal, the Fantasia Film Festival. It's like international genre
Mm-hmm.
movies, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and they sent me to make sure that no one was recording in the movie. And it
Mm-hmm.
turned out that it was this vampire movie from the director of Old Boy, and it's
Ah,
Mr.
yeah.
Van. Well, I forget the name of that movie right now, but it was Thirst. I think it was Thirst. I'm not sure.
It's a
It,
Korean movie.
yeah, it's a vampire Korean movie, and it's from the director of
Mm-hmm.
Old Boy,
Mm-hmm.
and the original Old Boy, not the remake.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I saw that. It was awesome.
yeah, oh yeah, rough movie, but very good. Yeah, I love that
Mm-hmm.
movie, but
Mm-hmm.
it's rough to watch, man. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's just like when I realized what movie they were asking me to watch over, I just when the lights went off, I'm just gonna be honest here. I just sat down and watched the movie, and I got paid for
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it. So it was awesome. But yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of one of those things where like you love photography, you love MMA, and they're asking you to take pictures there. So it's a win-win for sure.
Yeah,
And they
sign me
might,
up.
if you get a good picture, we're also gonna pay you. Like get to see
Mm-hmm.
it for free, front row, and look, we'll pay you if you get good pictures of that. Like most people just
Mm-hmm.
take pictures and send them to Facebook, and that's it.
Yeah.
Uh, but so you just to understand, because they contacted you, you were doing like landscape pictures. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess you had what like a portfolio online that someone working at one liked. Is that it?
I don't know. For me, I was thinking that uh, they don't know many sport photographer in the area or photo, photographer in general. So
Mm-hmm.
they like they
Arca?
just go like, so they go like, anyone interested? Would you like to come and see watch MMA for free and get paid if your picture got taken?
I'm
That's
fascinated
what.
by one. Yeah, because it's like they're establishing something that like MMA. I think obviously there's countries like Japan, right, where MMA was already
Uh-huh,
big. But I think in many
uh-huh,
places of Asia, like there were combat sports for sure, but it wasn't MMA. You know, like
uh-huh.
so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they're the ones who are bringing MMA to a lot of Asian countries, if I understand
Uh-huh.
correctly.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because uh, one used to go everywhere in Asia
Yeah,
before the pandemic hit. So I was like they were in Thailand and then
yeah.
Singapore and then no, did they go
Myanmar.
to China? Yeah, Myanmar. Yeah, but Southeast Asia, and then they go to Japan, where they really hit it big.
Yeah, of course, that's the MMA market right there, I guess, when you're in Asia.
Uh-huh,
Although, like the one that's already established, I should say, because
uh-huh,
obviously
uh-huh.
there's a lot
Yeah,
of
there's a
people.
lot of promotion there.
Sorry.
There's a lot of promotion, like the fighting promotion there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Ryzen and Pride came from there, of course.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. But it's just interesting that basically in Jakarta there were no sport photographers. But I mean, I'm sure there were, but it was like, okay, well, we gotta also call photographers. Period. Like
Yeah.
it just that this kind of like they're it's like they're setting up what's needed for that sort of event themselves in a way. And like
Mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm,
don't already have like this long list of sports photographers waiting for their chance. Like, hey, you take pictures. Do you want to come? Like so
mm-hmm,
that's interesting to me because I imagined it differently, really. And
mm-hmm.
obviously it'll be different, I'm sure, depending on the city and which country. But nevertheless, it's kind of funny to me that you were like taking pictures of landscapes and like, hey, do you want to like take pictures of people punching, kicking each other, and strangling each
Yeah,
other?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it? Uh, well, yeah, because I think it's um, yeah, because MMA is not really that big in Jakarta itself. So uh, we do watch UFC. Some people do watch UFC. We have our own local promotion, but then it's not really as huge as soccer
Yeah.
in yeah, because soccer and badminton is two of our biggest sports events in Indonesia. So, but and then people don't really like to watch people hitting each other, so they really like to pump it up. So I think one of the objective as well is to get another social media engagement from another account. But that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, you mean like the people who followed you before were into landscapes and stuff like that, and now you're posting
Yeah,
pictures of like bloody dudes and women, like,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
they're like, okay, maybe I wasn't following you for this, so you might do
yeah,
a MMA account or
yeah, yeah,
combat, just some Muay Thai, of course, and all that, but you might do like a combat sport account, is what you're saying,
yeah, yeah.
or sports account. That like, might be, yeah, might be the way to go because I have to imagine that's not necessarily, except rarely, like you like both, obviously, but
Hmm.
the demographics probably don't cross as much. Like
Yeah,
whoever's
yeah,
when I see this vicious knockout is maybe sometimes I'm sure there can be, but sometimes they might not be the same person as I really like to see beautiful sunset today.
yeah.
So, unless it's two people fighting in a beautiful park, I don't know. Uh,
Well, well, sometimes in case something
If it's
really
not
happens.
the park.
Yeah.
um, but it's just I find it interesting, because when I found your profile online,
Mhm.
I initially realized, and this is why I reached out to you, because there's things that as fans we take for granted, and even the fact that, for example, in Jakarta they have to go like, we need photographers because we don't have sport photographers per se, or at least not that many of them. So there's things you take for granted as a fan of something, anything,
Mhm.
and because like me, I think from what I see, you also like Batman stuff, right? I think
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
yeah. So people like stuff, and they don't always appreciate what goes behind the scenes. And then I
Mhm.
realize, like all these cool pictures when I go to an MMA news website and I see all these cool pictures. Like, not for a moment do I really think about what goes behind that. I just
Mhm.
I just take it for granted. I'm gonna see some really cool pictures when I read the article, or when I
Mhm.
see like a recap of a fight. I'm just saying, oh yeah, that was a
Mhm.
cool find me, you know. But
Mhm.
so, but I
Yeah.
don't really think like someone was there like, come on, come on, come on, gotta time it. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. You have to do it like, yeah.
Yeah.
Just come on, oh, come on. Where's the punch? And sometimes you're disappointed because when they do something like a really good punch or a really good kick, and then you're like, "Oh, I missed it by this much."
Yes, because I think the money shot. I think that
Yeah.
the shot that any person taking pictures in a combat sport wants is kind of like the.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Or when they do it and then the sweat came out, everything. That was the one. That's the money shot.
Did you see the picture of Gary Tonon, mullet in the
Mhm.
wind, like
Yeah,
suddenly he's like winding up
yeah,
some hook or something? Did you see that one where he
yeah,
looked like
yeah.
he
I
fell
saw.
from like 90s manga or something?
Yeah,
It was
that's awesome. And I really like when they do it, and then you can really see all the muscles when they're tightening up, and they go like, okay, here comes a big one.
Okay, that's another question because obviously the fighters are depending on the weight class, of course, but very often they're like
Mm-hmm,
very in the lighter weight classes are very cut, because they try
Yeah,
to get.
yeah.
Are you telling me that now you're also looking for like the muscle twitch, like oh he's gonna throw something, you just like I saw
No,
this one.
no, no. I don't have that good eye, but really, like when when they're taking a step back and they're going to take a breather, and then and then they go like, okay. So because sometimes they like to do like a false move, right? Like huh,
Yeah,
they want really, and then and then that's when you really want to get ready. But when the itself, when they really like throw a
yeah.
big punch, and then like I think the best example in my picture is Leandro Ataides fight, and you can really see his muscle when when he's really punching and everything.
It adds
So
something visual element, right? It adds
mhm,
like a detail you can sort of wrap your head around the power of the movement. I guess that's why it's
mhm, mhm,
cool. Because obviously I can't do this, you know,
mhm.
but there's no. If I'm just lifting my arm, like it doesn't. The picture wouldn't look right, right? If
Yeah,
I'm
it's
doing
just like this, and then
this, it
like
wouldn't look right because something in the ring will tell you that that's not an actual punch being thrown. But when you see the
mhm,
muscle, like these
mhm,
guys are in really good shape. So when you see
mhm,
like
mhm.
the muscles there, I think it's because it gives that feeling of power to the brain. You see that and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, yeah, that's a punch being thrown. The guy's not just
yeah,
holding his arm.
yeah,
Like, but yeah, man, that Gary Tonin picture though, with the mullet in the wind, that was funny.
yeah, yeah.
And but and so I have a question because now we're talking about this, and when you're taking those
Mhm.
pictures, are photographers often fooled by feints? Because now you mentioned feints, and I'm just imagining like the fighters like this,
Oh
and
yeah,
whoop, feint,
yeah.
photographer, ah, damn it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I used I I'm I'm one of that person that really easy to get really easily tricked by the feint. So yeah, yeah, it's like here comes, oh no, okay, I like waste a few a few of my memory card slot. So
What?
that's why when you're in an event, you're like bringing like a tons of memory card and tons of battery just to get like the whole event covered. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's true, but it used to be filmed. Can you imagine back in the day when it was filmed and you're told,
Hmm,
"Oh, come
hmm,
to the show," but you don't have like you're not sure they're gonna buy your pictures, and then
hmm, hmm,
it would have cost you film. That would have
hmm.
been
Yeah, yeah,
rough back in the day. So at least
yeah, yeah,
that picture is no good. Click, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think my hit rate for a movie like sorry for the picture itself like it's really low because out of 2,000 picture, a good one is probably only 20 pictures.
How many do they take?
2,000, like 2,000, yeah. 1,000 to 2,000. My average is about 1,200,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. And then like the good pictures came out of it's like only 20 or 30 because the other was is just faints and or people like miss
Yeah.
out like miss chance or something. So yeah.
And if I mean, I guess it varies, and I don't know if this is I don't know if I should ask. I don't know if it's impolite of me to ask this to a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask. Let me know if it's. But when you take 2,000, 3,000 pictures, all of those, how many does one end up? I guess it depends on the event, but
Mm-hmm.
how many do you say you end up selling? Would you?
Uh, it's usually one or two because I only give a good one to one, so it's probably the only the 20 or 10 pictures. So out of those 20 or 10, they probably just choose one or two,
Okay.
or they don't even choose anything at all.
Okay. So that's a personal choice you make in the sense that you don't want to show something that you think is not like if you already
Yeah, yeah.
this isn't gonna be bought. I'm not gonna add it to the list
Mm-hmm.
because I imagine if a photographer sends like 100 pictures and they
Mm-hmm.
end up like maybe the person's like, hey, your job was to give me the good ones here. Now you gave me a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff to look at.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
And you have to edit it as well, right? Because sometimes the picture itself is either like sometimes the picture has not enough sharpness or crispness on it, so you have to do it like on a Photoshop. So you have to like amp the sharpness, or you have because you shoot it in a high speed mode, and then the lighting itself is actually dark, so you have to like ramp it up the brightness or the contrast.
yeah.
So and also some photographers have their own like color style, their preset. That's what we call it, the preset.
Oh yeah, kind of like Zack Snyder movies. They're always like very
Yeah,
gray.
they're always green and like always gray and bluish, right? So
Yeah,
that's
which was very
yeah,
confusing watching Batman v Superman because when you look at Batman scenes, you're like, this works, and then when you
yeah,
see Superman, I'm like, that doesn't work.
yeah. That it's really dark.
It's
Yeah.
really dark for Superman.
Yeah. So yeah, because some people like, oh, this is my like I know I like I have my own preset for the photography, so it's like and then you have like out of that 1,000 or 2,000, you have like you don't have time to edit all of them, especially if the picture is bad. So you just choose like uh, what's best according to you, and then you just edit those. So it's
And
like
what are your colors for? Do you have presets, or are you just talking about other people?
I have my own preset. So I actually it's actually like it's actually like cooking. You get you get others people recipe first, and then you
Okay.
tweak it to fit your own style. Because oh, I like this guy's preset. Let me try to copy it, and they're like, okay, this works, and it just doesn't work. That's
So
this, and
the
then
preset when you edit, it's after a fact, or is it something on the camera as you take the pictures?
it's a I edit it on PC,
Okay,
on the
okay, okay.
computer.
Yeah, I thought it's a
Yeah.
bit. The word confused me because it was preset. The word was confusing. I
Right.
imagine that it was netted after a fact. Um,
Mhm.
so do you have just like now we're getting like really technical here, but and that's the whole purpose when you invite a photographer, you want to get a bit technical. Um, so would you say that you use different colors when there's a fighter just standing there and a different color when they're attacking, or what's the process basically?
No, it's just like I, it's more like I use the same preset all the time, but then sometimes when you want to like get a different mood, then you'll probably try to tweak it a bit. So
Mhm.
you want something to get like a cooler shot, and then
Yeah.
you give a more blue to it to get like it's like a cooler picture as well.
Okay.
And then sometimes when a fighter came out during the entrance and they all smile and then they greeting all the fans right before the entrance to the cage, you probably want to give some orange and yellow to give it more warmth. Like you're gonna, oh, this is a really feel nice picture. But then during the fight itself, I usually just use the same preset. But then during the session, like they come by the bus, and then when they preparing, when they're taping up and everything, that's like when I try to convey some of my uh, some of the emotion that I feel during when I was there.
That's when you personalize it. Yeah, it's interesting because the fact that they have photographers coming out of the bus and such. To my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think UFC does that. I think it's more of a one thing where they wanna build them up as heroes, like where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
make them role models and make them
Mm-hmm.
accessible. It's kind of almost like the Beatles are coming out of the bus, like oh the fighters are
Mm-hmm.
coming out of the bus, like making it a thing like
Mm-hmm.
that. I think,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
might be wrong. I'm
That's
just not remembering the UFC ever doing something. The photographers are there when they're just coming out of the bus. I don't think they do that.
no. I don't. I never seen UFC doing that. But then, yeah, one FC approach is really they really want to hype up uh, the athlete as a hero, especially local hero. So that's why they, especially during the entrance, they really uh, they say that they're representing the country, and then like
Yeah,
and in Indonesia, our nationalism is really high. So when people from Indonesia is fighting in like in different country,
yeah.
it's really hyping up the audience. Like, oh, come on, go.
Oh yeah, those entrances are crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
And like in a previous episode, I talked to MC Nara, the
Yeah, yeah,
voice,
yeah. I saw the video.
and
Mm-hmm.
we're talking a little bit about that, like just the magnitude of those entrances. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
so huge. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even during the pandemic, they're making an effort to still
Yeah, 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 yeah.
uh, looking and build up the fighters. And now I wouldn't be able to. Obviously, I don't know what's on behind the scenes. I can't compare the pay in UFC versus the pay in one. But what I can compare though is that UFC's tool for controlling fighter pay is devaluing the fighters a lot.
Mm.
Like Dana White's always pulling that off, like, oh, like, he didn't want to take the fight. No, the guy was
Mm-hmm.
arguing for better pay. It's not that he didn't want to take the fight,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
that method of almost as soon as Dana White's not happy with his fighters, like they're very quick to devalue the fighters.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Whereas
like.
do that, like
Mm-hmm.
it's which is something I really appreciate with one, to be honest, because it's
Mm-hmm.
I like martial arts is very cheesy old school way. Like I like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
martial arts to be like Mighty Mouse, like just
Mm-hmm.
doing the work, not trash talking, not just like I like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
not to be honorable martial artist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And but
But
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, so well, that's what I like about One FC as well because they really hype up the positive of the fighters, and
Yeah.
then they're really respectful to each other. Like they really show it during the fight. After the fight, they're like uh, shaking hands and everything. No trash talking, but I mean, for me personally, trash talking is a good spice before the fight. But then too much of it really spoiled the fight. That which reminds me of the McGregor and Khabib's fight, which is I
Yeah,
that
when you said that, that's what came to mind. And
yeah.
although Masvidal, when Masvidal was punching Ben Askren after Askren was unconscious, I didn't like that at all. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, then again, they're supposed to. The ref is the ref who's supposed to stop that. But Askren was so obviously unconscious. But
Mm-hmm.
Masvidal did say something though, because everyone's different, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Khabib, for example, was someone like if you talk trash, he's taking it seriously. And Masvidal was kind
Mm-hmm.
of the same, and he was like, "How come someone can talk trash all this time now because the fight is over and you're supposed to forget it?"
Mm-hmm.
So. And I like both Masvidal and Askren, by the way. I like both of them, and I think Askren's level of trash talk is, if anything, that's the level of trash talk I'm okay with. Like his
Mm-hmm.
level of trash talk, I'm okay. But when McGregor started, like, yeah, during the Khabib one, that's when I really lost my taste for trash talk, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like nah, that's crossing a line, man.
Yeah, it just got too weird, and you're like, okay, like you're already selling the fight. You don't need to
Yeah. So I
go
want to
there.
see people trash talking. I watch WWE.
Yeah, but that's not the same. Like no
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
there. Oh man, to me, I don't. That's the thing I don't understand, and I even don't understand why I don't understand it. Professional
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, and I did an episode with two of my friends who like pro wrestling on my
Mm-hmm.
show, and I was like, okay, guys, you guys explain it to me. You guys explained it to me,
Yeah.
and my idea was like I didn't episode of the crossovers that will happen between MMA and wrestling, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously we didn't even touch upon Japan, which there it gets really complicated and so this whole gray area because
Mm-hmm.
pro wrestling and MMA in Japan it's really interconnected to the point where there's
Mm-hmm.
fixed fight in MMA, and so it gets really way more complicated in Japan. But I did have some friends over and we talked pro wrestling, and they kind of lost me, and I don't understand why I'm not into it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I can watch a Jackie Chan movie, and when he does some stuff, I can for sure see that wouldn't really work. But
Mm-hmm.
having fun, I'm still entertained.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why my brain, when I see pro wrestling, I can't do this suspension of disbelief the same way I do when I watch a Jackie Chan movie. You know, like I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
I can't accept it, but I can't. And
But
but for what it's worth, when I saw Lucha Underground, you know, I don't know if you ever saw
uh,
Lucha
uh,
Underground.
I watched some lucha in my TV cable before, but then uh, I think pro wrestling really for me it was good when I was like in teenagers,
Yeah,
like when yeah it was like 12, 13 years ago,
yeah.
and then during the when during the Attitude Era when they call it, so when they still have Dwayne Johnson on the roster itself, so it
Yeah, my
was really
friends told me the Attitude Era. Yeah,
that was it was interesting at that time. Now it's kind of boring, so it's like I don't really watch it anymore. But then yeah, I get it when because for me watching pro wrestling is like watching an action movie, and then like people each other.
no, but that was my argument. That was my argument that I don't know why I don't like it because I like a
Yeah,
Jackie Chan movie, even if I see
yeah,
moves that don't make sense. Because let's face it, like Jackie Chan is an amazing stunt actor, but the moves he does, I don't know how much of a fighter he is or isn't, you know.
mm-hmm,
But I know that a lot of moves he does for entertainment for the movie. You
mm-hmm,
can't really
mm-hmm.
push things with those objects, you know, like it's just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
entertainment, and I'm fine with it. I love it. So why
yeah.
is it that I can turn my brain off for that movie, and then I see pro wrestling, I don't buy it. But I was gonna say though that when you see like Lucha Underground or the Mexican wrestling, I have
mm-hmm,
less trouble with it because they're going a bit
mm-hmm,
faster. So I don't know, like when it's the Mexican style pro wrestling, then I'm a bit more okay with it. Or
mm-hmm.
in Japan, again, I don't watch it, but sometimes I'll see highlights. Just because when you watch MMA, you end up for some reason always seeing something of wrestling on the side. I don't know why. I don't even know. Like I don't even know how I saw these things, but I know that in Japanese pro wrestling, at least they're going to use legit leg locks, you know, like so maybe
Mm-hmm.
that. But at the same time, at this point, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do that, I'm going to turn on UFC Fight Pass. I'm going to watch actual fights for me. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
it's and I have a lot of respect for pro wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
entertainment wrestlers, as I like to say. I have a lot of respect. You know, the same way like.
Mm-hmm.
And I compare him a lot to Jackie Chan. Like this guy wasn't doing fights, but he messed up his body doing very dangerous stuff, and that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, he wasn't like Benny Urquidez who did movies with Jackie Chan. Like obviously Benny Urquidez was a fighter. Jackie Chan was
Mm-hmm.
not a fighter; he was a stuntman. But it's still like the stuff he did is insane. Like you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
courage it takes for him to do those things. You know, I have so much respect.
yeah.
So I don't mean it in a way where I disparage stunt work.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously again like you know, without stunt people, we wouldn't have action movies. You know, like
Yeah, yeah. Stunworks is dangerous.
yeah, and but I like stuff like John Wick. You know, like where
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the John Wick movies.
Oh, I saw it. Indonesians
Yeah,
are there. We have to watch it. The John Wick 3 especially.
yeah. Oh my God, that's the thing. Like when I see John Wick, I'm so pleased with the fact that I can watch the action movie
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I see legit moves. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
something
yeah.
to me where I'm like I'm at peace. You know.
Yeah, yeah. John Wick is awesome because I watched it and I was like, oh, that's a good throw. Oh, okay.
Oh, yesterday you saw it yesterday?
I watched it a few months ago when it was released in the movie, but then it was like uh, I know I watched this reaction like and actually watched the interview between if you watch John Wick 3 there are two Indonesian guy fighting Keanu Reeves at the end
Yes,
before they
one
were
is from the raid. One is from the raid,
yeah
right?
yeah yes both of them
The
from the raid
long hair
the
and
the,
yeah.
the long hair yeah both of them from the raid and like they're really a good fighter because they're practicing silat
Yeah.
And then they were teaching silat before Garrett Evans, the director of the raid. So like, we need a bad guy. And it's like, and then Iko just said, "Oh, my friend, you can try." They really got a good move. And then that's actually, I think the raid is like the renaissance of the Indonesian stunt industry, because from that they like go from everywhere in the world.
Yeah, and there's oh, what's his name? Now he's in Wu Warriors on Netflix. What's the name
Eco
of the actor?
Wise,
Sorry?
Eco
Yeah.
Wise.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, now he's doing stuff everywhere now, and
yeah, yeah.
it's but it's funny that Gareth Edwards, like, so it's not even like he wasn't like an Indonesian director, but
Mm.
he kind of resurrected the Indonesian cinema, right? Action cinema.
Yeah, especially the action movie, because Indonesian movie at that time is just full of uh, horror and romantic comedy movies, and then suddenly, and then he came with this very very action,
Oh yeah.
action packed movies. And it's like everyone was like, "Oh, it's awesome."
But when I knew that it was well made, obviously my own eye test, like there's a scene where he's trapped
Mm-hmm.
in the wall and the guy's like stabbing with a machete on the wall, and it
Mm-hmm.
grabs his cheek and has to like take care
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Or you're like in the edge of the seat, but
yeah.
the so here's the thing. My wife, but fiance at the time, at
Mm-hmm.
some point I showed her Bloodsport,
Mm-hmm.
and she
Mm-hmm.
loved it. I was, oh, this is fun, like, and I was like, oh, cool, you liked it,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And but when so Bloodsport, she watched from beginning to end and she loved it. And
Mm-hmm.
you could argue it's a violent movie, but she enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I put the raid on, she couldn't watch
Mm-hmm.
it. It was
Okay.
too. She found it too violent.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it is.
there's another movie that's kind of similar to the raid, and it's this co-production between France and Cambodia. Some actors speak Khmer,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, others English, and it's on Netflix. I forget the name of the movie, but it's basically some cops stuck in a prison, and it's an action movie very similar to the raid. And that one
Mm-hmm.
is equally as violent, but she could watch that one no problem. So why couldn't she watch the raid? Because the raid is filmed so well, like
Mm-hmm.
the way
Yeah.
it's so
They
good that
really make it like it's really, it really happens in front of your eyes.
yeah, and it's kind of funny because I can watch a movie where someone's swinging a machete at another human being, and I can be like, oh, cool, like, no, okay. And there's something where it's well done, but not in a way that stresses me, not in a
Mm-hmm.
way that I connect with reality in some way. When I
Mm-hmm.
watch a raid and someone's swinging a machete, I don't know why. I don't know what it is about the technical aspect of how they did it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel stressed about it. and and my now wife couldn't even watch the movie. Like, and I'm like, it's not
Mhm.
that bad. And I paused it at a moment where he's like, I think he has like a stick and smashes into the guy's face. And I
Mhm,
paused at
mhm.
that moment.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not that bad. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. But I don't know. The raid was amazing, man, and the
Mhm.
sequel it blew it out of the park. Like, it's just like
Yeah, yeah. And
it,
funny thing is, because they shoot it in Jakarta, I realized like, oh, I know that place. I used to go there for lunch.
there were no ladies fighting people with hammers that day when I went for lunch. Uh,
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Silat,
Mhm.
and that's I guess we could call it traditional martial art.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what was interesting to me with one is that you see stuff in MMA that you don't normally see in MMA Western point of view, or even from someone who's seen Japanese MMA,
Mhm.
because when you see Japanese MMA or Western MMA, it's kind of like, what are the bases for the fighting style of this guy or that woman? Or it's like wrestling, you have Muay Thai, karate, boxing, like
Mhm.
these things. But then you watch
Mhm.
one, and it suddenly turns into this whole new list of words. Like you have
Mhm.
like a wushu champion, or you have like a silat, and
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
obviously Letway. I think
That way.
it's not the
Yeah.
champion, next Letway fighter.
Mhm. Yeah. Because it's like
Yeah.
it's lots of them are like they were champions uh, for their sport. Like, so uh, I know one of the Indonesian fighter, like Eko Roni Saputra, is a wrestling champion for Indonesia during the SEA Games. I know that Hartati is wushu champion.
Yeah, and that's something for MMA. You're like, wait, wushu and MMA, what? You know, like
Yeah,
it.
but then you have to know that sometimes wushu, there are two types of wushu:
Yeah,
the stylistic one and the sanda wushu, which is like they fight it out.
yeah. But to
And
me,
then
Sanda, not
yeah,
wushu.
yeah. I was like, huh,
That's,
wushu? I'm like, oh,
yeah, no, Sanda is not wushu. It's not the same thing. It's the my coach, where I trained before the pandemic,
mm-hmm,
did Sanda for a while.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And he teaches some like stuff from Sanda. So, but it's not. I mean, obviously there's stuff that can carry through. Like there's a lot of styles that get dismissed, but then you kind of realize, okay, maybe as it's taught right now, it wouldn't work against someone who has like Muay Thai and wrestling and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But
mm-hmm,
look at this one thing, this move, or what
mm-hmm,
if you can, like a lot of people dismissed Taekwondo for the longest time, and then it turned
mm-hmm,
out, well, if you have your Taekwondo skills and you learn wrestling and you condition your shins, you can
mm-hmm.
actually pretty noteworthy moments with that. Um,
I, I I think Taekwondo reminds me of the fight just now. I forgot the athlete, but you should be know it because that's like the KO of the year
yeah, I saw
when the
the leg
opponent delay and it's like,
for the
yeah,
leg. Oh my god, that
that
was
was awesome.
and I saw that, and I didn't see
Mhm.
the fight live. I just saw the highlight and was like, "That's Taekwondo." Like I knew instantly,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Taekwondo. That's what
yeah.
it is. And then I looked up the guy. I was like, "Indeed, he's a black
Mm-hmm,
belt in Taekwondo." Uh,
mm-hmm,
and so I'm thinking. So you mentioned Silat. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've seen a few things, and sometimes I see those martial arts styles pop up
mm-hmm,
in one, and that makes it interesting because they're gonna do some little things different, and it's almost like having an organization with more Tony Fergusons, like people who do
mm-hmm,
stuff I'm not used to seeing. Like Tony Ferguson's
mm-hmm.
kind of like he'll mix
Yeah,
up
yeah.
some stuff in there that, like when he tripped
Mm-hmm,
Justin Gaethje with that, like he
mm-hmm.
uh,
Hello?
yeah. So when
Um,
he stepped Justin Gaethje, it was really
mm-hmm.
like you don't see that normally. That kind of sweep
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
a kung fu movie, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like in one you have a lot of these moments basically.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but listen, we're almost at the 1 hour mark here, but
Yeah.
wanted before we go, I wanted to address like the notion of like the good. We talked about the photo of a moment in action, but
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking, and I wanted to bring it up with you. You know that sometimes I think there's some fighters who have this notion of leaving a mark for a fight, like leaving a moment that people can remember and that pictures can be taken. And I'm thinking of like, for example, like Stylebender, Israel Adesanya.
Mm.
No one against
Yeah.
Anderson Silva where he put the hand behind him and did like I think it's from Naruto. I'm not sure. He did this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's from
And
Naruto.
yeah, okay. So see, I'm more of a Dragon Ball guy, but he when he did that, like that was like, come on, everyone, take a picture right now, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wanted to know your opinion as a photographer. Do you find there's fighters who sometimes have this notion of I'm gonna do like a pose now, so I can people have a picture of me that will be shared? Do you think it's something that
Hmm.
a lot of fighters could do to when they want their name out there? Do you think it's something that they could do to be seen more, to be recognized more, to have their name out there, to have this notion that someone's taking pictures of me right now? I
Hmm.
could do
Hmm.
something to be remembered. Obviously, not putting themselves in danger in the middle of a fight, but if they're far away enough from the other fighter, or do you think it's something that fighters should start instead of like because everyone knows about trash talking, everyone knows
Hmm.
about TikTok dances on social media, but what about
Hmm.
stuff when you're inside the cage or a ring, and photographers are just begging for a cool moment to take, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. I think for me it's actually a good idea, but then uh for me personally, I uh for except for some fighters, I mean it's not a bad idea per se, but then if people start doing it, and then I know some fans that actually diss Adesanya because he's doing that pose. I was like, what the hell is doing? He's playing around. It's not serious and everything. And I think it's actually uh, unless the people is already known for it, uh, the established athletes shouldn't have to try it unless people like him that much. but then that reminds me of a moment Peter Boyce fight. He likes to point to the sky before his cage entrance, and I think it's a really good moment because that really show like protection. Probably ask for protection from God or something. I know, and but then it. I mean, yeah. So for me personally, I don't mind, but the athletes don't have to do it.
No, no, and I love that Mighty Mouse. And I'm about to bring up something here real
Mhm.
quick, but it's a weird example, I guess, for me to use. But Mighty Mouse obviously is a better fit in one than he was in the UFC,
Mhm.
even though he's American and all that. Like his
Mhm.
notion of how he's a martial artist fits
Mhm.
more with the more traditional mindset, I guess.
Mhm.
But would you say it's also cultural? Because I guess maybe in Asia, showboating is not. I mean, now I'm grabbing the whole continent. I know it.
Yeah.
If you
It's okay.
forgive me, if you forgive me for putting everyone in the same package, I guess in Asia,
Yeah.
showboating is a bit different, right? It's not something
Yeah, yeah. It's
you
not
can have.
something that we don't really like.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So showboating is really we don't really like people showboating. I mean, like we have this perception that Western people like to showboat. Like now I'm sorry because I'm putting
No, 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 it's okay.
like
It's a
like
perception. It's a cultural perception. I understand.
yeah, it's a cultural perception because like uh, we see some Western people that like talk loud and then like really to showboat. So I think if it's come from the Western people, uh, we accept it really well. But then if it
Okay.
comes from like Asian athlete, like the Asian athlete, we don't really like. This guy is cocky. We don't like him. That's
So
yeah.
people have this cultural context too. Like when they,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, so Western people will behave differently, and it's accepted. It's interesting.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, there's some truth to it because when you see, for example, when Adesanya was kicking Costa's legs, and
Hmm.
Costa was showboating, but he didn't have an answer for it. So
Yeah.
there's some basis in reality when you see someone showboat. Where is it coming from? You know, like there's
Hmm.
many reasons why. But you also see people like Senshai who love to put a show. You know, like Senshai
Hmm.
will dance or will continue his knees when the guys are already on the floor. He'll continue the knees in the air. You know, like so you still see some of it. But I guess
Hmm.
in Senshai's case, it's kind of like humoristic and good fun, almost like a Jackie Chan thing. So
Hmm.
because that's
Hmm.
why people like it. You know, because he's kind
Hmm.
of having fun. He's not really being arrogant about it. I guess. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so listen up.
Hmm.
We're at the 1 hour mark at this point. Um,
Hmm.
and so it's been really interesting because now you made me realize I always look at like blurred cages and never I registered it. Now I'm gonna see them every time. Thank you, Albert.
No,
I'll be seeing blurred cages like Albert. But no, but seriously, man, it's been really interesting. It's
Mhm,
been really fun. And
mhm.
tell me, where can people find you online?
Uh, people can uh, people can find me on Instagram if they would really want to take if they really want to show sorry want to see my pictures.
Okay,
It's just an honored name underscore sport.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, Albert, again, thank you very much for coming to the show. It was a lot of
Thank
fun, and
you. It was pleasure.
yeah, it's really interesting to have like an insight on this aspect of being a fan that doesn't get covered as much. So, thank you for
Yeah.
your time.
Thank you. Thank you.